This is so raw. This is completely raw. There might be a ton of like free association in all of this. I'm sitting here on a Sunday in my finest Steeler clothing, hoping that the Steelers beat the Jets today. Hopefully, by the time I post this, the Steelers have beaten the Jets. Not that that'd be a great accomplishment. I feel like the Jets beat the Jets. But anyway, sitting here, I'm checking out some articles, and I see the new ad by Nike. So if you don't know, Nike ran a new ad of not just do it, but why do it. Nike's current theme, or Nike's theme for God knows how long, has been just do it. Overcome, deal with it, overcome the struggle, just do it. Great. What they did was an ad, and I'll read to you the transcription is, it's really short. It's, why do it? Why make it harder on yourself? Why chance it? Why put it on the line? With so much at stake, with so much room to fail, why risk it? Why would you dare? Seriously, why? You could give everything you have and still lose. But my question is, what if you don't? And then it says, just do it. This is a case. I've talked about this before. If you've watched my videos before, or seen my articles or whatever, talk on social media, you'll probably see me talk about this before. But it's a mistake that happens over and over and over again. So I'm going to keep talking about it over and over and over again. If you're going to go with something like that, you have to make sure you don't lose your current audience. No, not take that back. Forget lose. You have to make sure you don't speak in a way that's antithetical to the current audience. You need to speak to the current audience, let them know you're still okay. We still see you, but newer audience, check this. That's not what Nike did here. In fact, what Nike did here was the complete opposite of that. Let me explain. So what this fundamentally did was insert a layer of anxiety into the messaging. What if you fail? Why do this? Oh my gosh, the consequences. Are you crazy? There is so much that is out of your control. There is so much that may not go right. There's a lot of anxiety here. The idea that I've seen promoted around why they did this was younger viewers, they are more in tune with that anxiety, and that speaks to them. I'm going to get back to that in a second because that's also not true. The first part that's really not true is that the current audience, let's say me, I'm 41 years old. I buy Nike things. The current audience, let's say anyone 30 or above, 35 and above, however you want to frame this, their lives are far more complicated than they ever were before. They're in economic situations that are far more complicated than they ever were before. They're in technological situations that are far more complicated than before. The political world is far more complicated than it ever was before. There's a lot. If you're looking at, there's a lot going on right now, right? I don't need any more from Nike. I don't need any more anxiety. I don't need any more stress from Nike. Thank you, Nike, very much. I have my own. And it not only does it not speak to the current audience, it is a turnoff to the current audience. And when you're going to go with that sort of thing, if you are a brand, you have to remember, okay, this might not speak to the core of what the current audience and what they're at or where they're at, but it shouldn't push them away either. You have to thread that needle and figure out something that might not be core to the current audience, but is also speakable to the current audience, something they can identify with, and something that won't push them away. This, total push away. I'm sitting here 5 minutes after watching this thing, and my mind is blown. How a marketing team didn't realize that last point, that you can't do that because your current audience will be pushed away from this because their situation is far more anxiety. You got a house, you got kids, you're paying for cars, you got a mortgage, you got tuition, whatever it is. What if it fails? Does not speak to me at all. In fact, I would like to go buy Adidas now. Maybe I'll feel better. The other point of this is that it doesn't recognize how human emotions fundamentally at their core work. Yes, there might be more anxiety in the current generation. That may be more a part of their lexicon. Oh, good points. Nobody, I'm going to say something controversial. Nobody likes feeling too much anxiety. Is that a crazy point? I don't believe that's a crazy point. I'm pretty sure that's self-evident. That's like saying water is wet. People don't like having too much anxiety. A little bit of anxiety, that's fine. That could be creative. That could be spirit. What they did is just not realizing a basic psychological point, Nike. And this is why it goes back when brands get into problems, which Nike did when it went all performance, realized they had to go back to brand, it usually spirals. And inevitably, if you want my prediction, inevitably this will death spiral at some point. it just spirals and spirals and spirals and spirals. Sometimes it could be the case in Nike, it just ends up spiraling endlessly. Sometimes it just death spirals, and the one thing didn't work, the second thing didn't work, the third thing didn't work, and it gets crazier and crazier until you're in a death spiral. Which could be like 5 years. I'm not saying it's happening tomorrow. But when you don't honor basic psychology, you can't possibly win. If they would have introduced a little bit of a layer of anxiety, you have all these questions, why chance it? Why put so much on the line? Say it once and then reinforce the positive. But they say it and reinforce, reinforce, reinforce. I'm looking at the transcript, right? So, second 6 of the video, second 13, 17, 28, 32, 35, second 39, second 43. We're 47 seconds in of constant reinforcement of anxiety and vulnerability. Extreme vulnerability, not like little vulnerability, extreme vulnerability, which is another thing. Don't speak in extremes. I spoke about this before also. Don't speak in extremes when it comes to negative emotions. You have to offer an out for the positive emotion to come out later. And if you go too negative with too much negative emotion and don't reinforce the positive with enough time, why even say the positive? Which is, again, now at at second 56. Then the narrator asks, what if you don't? Just do it. You have 53 seconds of intense negative emotion reinforcement, and then 2 seconds, literally 2 seconds of positive reinforcement. That positive reinforcement means nothing. It went in one ear, out the other ear. It has no point. You might as well not have said it. It would have been the ad to me would have been better if you didn't say it. At least it would have had some respect for you. Like, all right, you want to fall on into the negative emotion, like really doubling down on it. I got you. Or left it more sublime. Or left it more figurative somehow. All right, that would have been. Reinforcing a negative emotion like extreme anxiety in 2 seconds is just plain stupid because you don't understand how basic psychology works. And I think what these companies do, my last brand lesson, because I told you this would be like free association of brand and marketing ideas. My last point to you is you can't reinforce the negative. You have to give a little bit of positive, but this isn't complicated. And what the reason why this happens is that brands, my last piece of advice, brands often just look at the immediate audience, their immediate needs, their immediate problems, their immediate tendencies, or their immediate likes and don't likes, and they don't think deeper into what are the implications of those likes, of those don't likes, of those emotional states of mind, of those emotions in general. What are the implications of those emotions? How do they function? How do they work? They just look at immediate audience. We looked at our audience. What are their problems? We looked at their problems. You didn't really look. You looked at the very immediate trends, but you couldn't figure out how to go 5 layers deeper, 2 layers deeper, 1 layer deeper, please. And that's my advice to you as a brand marketer, as a marketing specialist, as a business owner, whatever marketing you're doing to develop your brand. You have to think about the implication of the immediate emotion, of the immediate need, of the immediate want of the audience, the immediate state of the audience, and go one step further. What does that look like in a year from now? Or what does that mean next? What's the next emotion that comes next? And you'll find that in this case, it would have been the next emotion, be like, wow, extreme anxiety without reinforcement is still extreme anxiety without reinforcement.